He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
So I'm sort of gambling that in 5 years, there's going to be like 10% a year inflation.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll all be fine. No, inflation on a building.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sure, there was inflation, but that's an incredible bet, right?
Yeah.
That it's going to the prices are going to, and the reason why is that in the previous 10 years, the prices did double. The previous 5 years, some of the prices did double.
So it's not like they pulled the forecast out of their ass either, but I mean, they went for the stretch.
They sort of did. Okay, they sort of did, because here's a really, really important thing to understand about rental properties.
Mm-hmm.
People say, well, if it's supply and demand, if there's very little supply, but that's not completely true about rents. Okay, if you're pricing a property so that the mortgage payment and the maintenance fees, the monthly maintenance fees, the condo fees, and the property tax are at, say, going to be, and people say, well, we didn't expect the rates to go so high. Well, hold on a second. Like, didn't the fact they brought in a stress test mean that, yeah, we figured it could go higher? Like, you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if you were basing all your calculations on a 1.99% mortgage rate, I think that's a big fucking error.
Yeah.
Okay? I think you got to go at least significantly higher than that, at least 4%. Okay?
For sure. Yeah.
And if at that rate of 4%, when you're thinking about it 5 years ago, if that 4% rate plus the property tax plus the monthly condo fee, if that number came out to $2,600, okay, $2,600 a month for that number.
Yeah.
And, so therefore we think that people are going to want to rent this small place for $2,800 a month.
Mm-hmm. They didn't, I guess, something happened. They didn't think that far ahead, or
no, they have to. It's hundreds of millions of dollars.
They didn't sit down and do that calculation?
Sure they did. And you know what they said? They said, we don't care, because that's going to be the problem for the buyer. Because ultimately, they never actually, the one thing nobody thought about is a crisis where buyers wouldn't close. Okay? That's the one thing developers never thought about. They never thought about, because here's the thing. If people at the time were only paying $1,750 or $1,800 a month 5 years ago for that small condo, how the hell did they think it was going to go up that much? Because would wages go up that much?
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not. So this was a calculation just made on, I'll tell you what the developers thought. The developers thought the investors who buy these properties are so fucking greedy they think it'll be fine. Now, they're not all. Some of them are badly misled. I want to say that. I've seen cases, we're going to go into this in another show, but I've got a file coming up where I'm seeing that the investor in the pre-con, the investor in the pre-construction condo, was fantastically lied to and tricked, and I got it in writing. Okay?
Wow.
So we're going to do that in another show. So I'm absolutely telling you that some people were fooled.
Right.
Absolutely fooled when they bought these.
Right, but going back to the whole government bailing them out thing, like... That's our tax dollars.
Yes!
And like, as much as I have a heart for the next person who, took this risk, ultimately it was their risk, not mine.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you went into this knowing that things could go south.
Well, they didn't feel there was a chance of it. Let's be honest. They really didn't.
Yeah, sure. Because, the housing market was only on its way up, right?
Correct.
But it's a risk. It's a risk. Even though you didn't think the risk would hit you, it's always a risk.
Oh, you mean does the actual concept of risk exist? Yes, thank you. That is correct. Is any investment of any kind, other than the bank CD, other than just, hey, I got a term deposit at the bank, you're going to put it in here for a year, you're going to pay me 4.75. Based on all the insurance situations we have in Canada, the deposit insurance we have, no risk, okay? But that's all there. But that's it. Everything else is a risk. Every other investment I know of is a risk. So yes, to your point, you're correct. Okay. Now, I just got to state it openly. My position on any sort of government bailout, when this pre-construction condo situation gets worse and worse, my position is very simple. Hell no. Now, to your point, if after all the dust settles, it makes sense for the government to say, well, developer, you lose everything. You lose all your profits. You lose all the money you invested in the land. You lose everything. And we're just going to take it off your hands.
Yeah.
And all you folks who decided not to close, I guess you lose your deposits.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're gone.
Right.
And what we will say is we could find a way, we'll take over the building ourselves because now we've got a deep discount, right? We got all the deposits for 20%. Yeah. We've wiped out the developer's position on the cost of the land. And maybe we're going to find a way to make this work. I don't know. We're far, far away from that. By the way, I'll tell you one other, one of the real bad actors in this. You talk about greed. That's the fucking cities and municipalities who raise development fees between 5 times and 10 times over the last 25 years. So that if you wanted to build this condo, nearly between 22 and 30% of it was going to the government. And that means that's what buyers had to pay. They had to pay the government.
Ultimate greed.
Ultimate greed. So, yeah, big fuck over on the government for that one.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.